I just knew that I wanted to do art, you know, and I wanted to make my living doing art so I could do art all day long. That's why I wanted to do it, and I wanted to do art my way, you know. And I didn't realize that I was a painter so much is just something that I wanted to do. I realized, and I was told by several big time artists, that I didn't have much talent, and that I was going to make something out of it. I better work pretty hard. You know, it was here again. It was the right side of my brain talking to me, and still I was using the left side. The brain will say, then, all right, then I've got to do that anatomy book. If I want to do this side, I've got to do that anatomy book so I can do it without thinking. But I want to get comfortable with my paint. And I reasoned it on my left side of the brain. I reasoned it out like this. I said, okay, I want to be able to take a painting with passion. When the white hot, this thing of Jason, right here, painted white hot passion, and I painted it in 2 days' time, you know, just, all right. Well, I couldn't have done that unless I'd had some knowledge of anatomy, unless I had a knowledge of what kind of paint to put where, and that should be second nature to me. It should be second nature to an artist. What happens if I had an accident and I lost both my hands? I mean, what would I do, you know? And you know what? I really think I could not paint as well with my toe or with my knee. Because it's all done up here. It's all done up here. Now, if I lost my brain, I'd be out of luck. But it's not the. And then, of course, my hand is trained to do it. You know, trained to do it. And yet, you've got to make a decision every time you pick up that brush. And that's what fascinates me. That's why I think art is such a great pastime. I get in here, and I don't know the time is passing. You know, they call me, it's time to eat. You get the painting and it's going so well and you're so hard and you need to go to the bathroom and you just haven't got time to go to the bathrooms. So you just tough it out and keep on with it. But you know, now that's what happens sometimes. And isn't that a wonderful thing? And isn't that a wonderful way to be? And I feel so sorry for these people that talk about the weekend, you know. I really do. I said, gosh, dog, you know, they can't wait for the weekend to come so they can do what they want to. You better have fun doing it because that's all it is. And of course it's nice if you can swap it for some money. But what do you want the money for? They ask me, what do you like to do? Well, what do you like to do for fun? I mean, that's the question I get now. When you don't paint portraits, what do you like to fun? I say, I paint portraits for fun. Every time I pick up that brush, I'm making a decision. And I think that is the key point of keeping your brain alive. I'll be entirely wrong, because this is just what I've made up. But I asked my son one time, I said, Bo, we're talking about retirement. I said, when should I retire, or something like that? And he said, Daddy, he said, get your retirement out of your head. He's a doctor. He's an internist. He says, I watch my patients retire and die. Well, light is important. Oh, all right, about light. Okay, let me tell you this about light. Very interesting. This is very interesting. And this is things that I've learned by accident. I tell you, there are a lot of things that they just don't tell you that you really don't pick up. You have to pick up on your own. All right. The landscapes, some of them hanging over there. I painted outside, you know, in the hot, broiling sunshine and everything. And I noticed, boy, they looked fine. And when they came in, man, they just knocked my eyes out. I said, boy, look what I painted, you know, this is just great. And I said, this is just fine. So then I said, well, you know, the pictures that I paint inside, they don't look that great to me. They don't look that great. You got to have a lot of light. So I said, well, I want to build and that's when I had a small studio and small windows and everything. I said, well, I want a lot of light in my studio when I build it, you know. And so here I've got a lot of light, you know. Well, I'd been painting in the house, you know, with just an ordinary illumination in the house. And pictures were all right and everything fine. I said, well, if I can paint my pictures outside, I mean, with a lot of light, then when we take them in people's homes, they'll look all right. Well, that's fine, and that's exactly what happens. I built the studio. It was summertime when I moved in, started my first portrait on July the 4th, 1966. I painted my first portrait in here, and it just looked horrible. Just looked absolutely horrible. And I didn't know. I just said, man, you spent all this money, you built all this fine studio, and you can't paint any better than this. And well, I had to deliver the portrait. Just had to deliver it. I worked on it. So I delivered it in Mobile, Alabama, and I got there about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I opened up the portrait. And of course, they have all those live oaks around, and the light was all soft and everything. And I got my portrait out, and I couldn't believe it. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. And wow. And I didn't let them know that I was surprised. I just, but anyway, I said, golly, that's something. And I still couldn't figure out what had happened. Well, I came back and I painted the second portrait. And it was horrible. Just looked absolutely horrible. And I was really sick over it. And there was a summertime, and then my wife sent me back over here. Oh, I'd forgotten something just before dark, just when the light was all soft. And I came in and looked at my portrait, and all of a sudden it was beautiful. The one I'd been looking at in the middle of the afternoon looked horrible, was looking great to me. And I said, that's when it hit me. I said, it's a matter of light. And you've got to look at, I think I probably told this in the thing over there, you've got to have a soft light for beauty. I got to realizing, and then I realized for myself, my paintings look pretty bad in here. They really do. And it's all because of this light. But the light makes me paint really hard. Try to get them as good as I can, knowing that when I take them, when the lumens are not as great, when I take them inside, they're going to look tremendously better. See? And I used to have an artist friend who was painting portraits too, and he said, I don't want to paint a lot of light. I want to paint where my portrait looks good all the time. See? And so he had soft light that he painted on it, and his portrait looked pretty darn good, But you take them out in a lot of light, and they fell apart. Therefore, I said, well, what I've got to do is just continue to paint and realize that I've created not a monster, but a helper in this way. I guess you'd say that. Therefore, I'm very careful to show people where I show them the portrait to first sight, because that means a lot. So I always try to deliver my portraits late in the afternoon, and I always look around the house when I go in the house and be sure I don't open the portrait in a room that has a lot of light in it. I open it in a room that has soft light in it, And I won't let a client come in the studio and look at the portrait in the studio. I take them, if they're going to come here, I take it over the house where I can get it in the house. And also, I hate it for you to see this portrait in here today, because I know it doesn't look like it's going to look out there, and therefore I've tried to turn away from the light. I thought about this before you came in, because it has too much light on it. It's not going to look as good as, and then of course, it's getting toward the winter time now, and we have got a softer light. See, that the light out there is a soft light. Whereas in the summertime, man, it looks, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm left-handed, so I paint on that end, and 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the sun comes in and it hits this wall here, and it bounces that way, and it absolutely kills what you're doing, except that it makes you work real hard. And so I just say, well, if I can get through this, I know at 5 o'clock it's going to look better. I don't really know. I mean, everybody is different, and every young artist is different. Artist is a different approach to it. I have to look at every artist, every young artist, and find out from them what makes them tick. You can hang around me and watch what I do and just pick up on things, and so that way you'll pick up what you need to know, and you'll reject you'll see what you don't like what I'm doing, see what you do like, and learn in that way. You just have to work on this left side while you're keeping the right side going. Go paint. Go do what you want to do and just have a whale of a good time doing it. The thing about it is just don't quit. Just keep on doing it. And you know, the whole world, as far as I'm concerned, they talk about artists being kooky and all that kind of stuff, you know. And the whole world is everything is very common throughout the whole world. And you can put analogies and they all just mesh like this, you know. It's a wonderful, wonderful world, the way it's made and the way it's so complex. And so I think that creation, and I think the Lord, I think the interest we have in God that every one of us has in some way. I don't know whether you call me a religious man or not. I don't think I am a religious man, but maybe I have a great faith in things and plans and so forth, and I didn't know what was really happening to me, like I didn't know what was happening when you saw those paintings. But it was all leading me right up to portrait painting. And I've tried to quit portrait painting once or twice, and I can't do it. I go right back to it because I'd rather paint a person than anything I know. This thing is sort of God-directed in a way to me, and it really doesn't matter how good my portraits really are. What matters is that I'm giving some people pleasure with what I can do. Do you understand what I'm talking about? I mean, they may not be the world's greatest paintings. I know I can't do that. I mean, I know that. So I'm willing to let it ride as it is, but I've still got to try to push it to get as far as I can. Otherwise, I will have not been fair with the Lord, so to speak. I guess goosebumps when I look at a great portrait. You know, I look at it and I don't get goosebumps when I look at anybody else's portrait around, but when I get one in the Great Museum, I get these goosebumps and so it's a feeling, and therefore I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. When I said, well, okay, when I get this, when I can learn my paint and learn my drawing, learn my bones, when I have it all in there, then I can do what I want. Then it'll come out. Every artist has his own definite style, you know. I said, what's my style? You know, I don't know. I paint portraits, yeah, but what's my style of portrait? I mean, Rockwell's style, Sargent's style of portrait is different from Rembrandt's style. It's different from Velázquez's style. I said, well, okay, Marshall, what is your style? You're 80 years old. You're bound to get something by now. And so I finally figured out, I said, well, I think what I'll call my style, what I want, what I'm looking for, I will call it a Sargent style, which means I admire Sargent. I don't admire everything he does or his whole approach, but I admire certain things which very greatly, and that the looseness of his brushwork and being able to get something with freedom that has a feeling of freedom and not worked over. I admire that, all right? And then I admire Rockwell because he's able to portray a something, everything he portrays, but especially a head or a face where everybody feels that person, even though it's not a great painting or will never go in a great museum and hang his great art. He didn't influence art, but he gives a feeling that people pick up. That's why he was so popular as an illustrator, because the people could look at him and get this feeling from him. Now they have the realistic school has come in. See, it's the almost photographic school. They call it the realistic school. Well, I don't like it. I don't really like realism. But what I like is actuality. So that's my word that I put on this thing that I like. All right, now, I say that that Rockwell is not realism, because his things are all a little bit of a caricature of a feeling or of an emotion. I mean, he has a little feeling in there, but it is a feeling of an actual it's an actual situation. I can feel that. See, so he is a great artist in that respect, but he doesn't have the freedom that Sargent has. Sargent doesn't have, for me, all of the feeling in his paint, or all of the depth in his paint. Let me put it like all the depth in his paint that Rembrandt has. But I want that depth. I want the depth in paint, and the depth of paint. So I say what I'm trying for and what I want is my technique. I'll call it a Sargent rant. Sargent, Well, Rockwell, and Rembrandt rant. And so that's what. And I say, well, if I have something to shoot for, that's what I'm shooting for. Well, the only trouble that I have, really, and I've come to a decision in the last, that painting there has about killed me, because it's very tall, and I have shrunk. I said, well, yeah, I'm getting older. I'm going to be 85. I'm going to be 90. I said, I'm going to be there, and I can't do it physically. Therefore, I got out, when I was a younger man, and I knew I had trouble with my feet then. I devised a rolling easel. It has wheels on it. And I have a track which I took up off the floor this morning because I didn't see. I want y'all to see my track, because I've been trying to resurrect my rolling easel, where I would kick the easel and it would go away from me, because you have to walk back and forth when you paint. So I literally feel sorry for everybody else. I'm sorry, but at the same time, I admire everybody else. At the same time, I admire everybody else, because I feel like I don't know, they're more well balanced, so to speak, and they certainly contribute a lot more to the world than I contribute. But I finally got to the idea, well, this is what I was supposed to contribute to the world, was portraits. So, and I think, oh gosh, dog, I'm not making anybody happy but one rich man, or two rich men, or something like that. But then I say, no, I say, the passerby see it too. So maybe this is worthwhile doing it with to try to get rid of it. And I think, well, maybe there will, maybe one of them or two of them may get in a museum, because I look at old Sargent's work, who I admire greatly among others there. I look at his work, and I said, he didn't paint this thing for me. He painted it so I would enjoy it, and I'm enjoying it, you know? So that's the way, well, I think you call this part of it rationalization. I'm getting along in years now. I'm 82 years old, and I used to get tickled because I had this aunt who was up in years, and she said, when you get to be 80 years old, she said, you can say anything you damn well please. So I'm 80. So I'm going to just tell it like it is. Well, I didn't realize this until maybe five years ago. But I began to get letters from people whose portraits I had painted 20 years ago or 30 years ago. And he said, oh, Mr. Bouldin, thank you for the portrait you did for us. We are enjoying it. It's 30 years ago. And I said, well, maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. I mean, this is the Lord's plan for me. And if I mess up, it's my fault. So, I'm sorry, I'm an artist, I guess. I don't know, and I'll never know. But that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is that, man, I'm having a good time. I'm having a whale of a life, you know? And when I'm gone, it's going to all be over. And it's not going to make a bit of difference to me whether these things in museums or not, you know? the thing is that I tried my best and had a good time doing it, and people would come in like you know, and make me feel good about talking about this stuff, you know, and it's wonderful. That's great, but it's still not as great as when I'm in here and all excited about a painting in the middle of the afternoon. And you can say anything you damn well please. All right, you know, you get the painting, it's going so well.